What's going on, y'all? It's your boy No Credit, and I'm back again with another one. I need you guys to do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon for more videos like these. That being said, let's get into it. So, breaking news in the sport of boxing: Canelo Alvarez has been ordered by the IBF to face his mandatory challenger, William Scull, a guy probably you haven't heard of, I haven't heard of, a lot of us haven't heard of, because we wasn't really familiar with a lot of guys at the super middleweight division until Canelo moved up there. The only guys we was really familiar with was the likes of Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, Billy Joe Saunders, and so on, but not too much. The super middleweight division was one of the weakest division in the sport of boxing, other than David Benavidez, until Canelo got up there, cleaned up. When David didn't have the belt, Canelo went up there, cleaned up that division, stole all the jewels, and refuses to fight the best guy we believe that can give Canelo a run for his money in David Benavidez. He said, "Too late. You lost the belt. I came up here, collect all the belts, and now I get to do whatever I want. I don't need to fight you." This is Canelo model. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Canelo, at this point in his career, even though he's only 33 years old, but an old 33 because he's been boxing since he was 15 years old, pro, at 140 pounds. He been turned pro. We know he's from Mexico. You could turn pro early. He started his career at 140, moving all the way up to the likes of 175. Unbelievable. How you go from 140 to 175 and you don't even have the frame for it? That raises an eyebrow, actually, guys. A guy moved from 140 all the way to 175. That should definitely raise an eyebrow, especially when they shown to have even better chin as they move up. Even though Manny Pacquiao did 8 and never popped 30, but some questions were there. But I think some of those questions was taken away when Manny Pacquiao got laid out. Canelo's never been laid out. And you know it's crazy? The only time we really seen Canelo seriously hurt was at 147. And a lot of people don't know that. But anyway, Canelo versus this William Scull guy. It makes no sense. How in the world is the IBF ordering Canelo to fight a guy named William Scull, and the WBC never, for 3 years, refused to order David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez? It's politics, and it's disrespectful to the sport. These dudes hold certain guys to a higher standards. They show favoritism. That's why people don't take the sport of boxing seriously, because these sanctioning bodies, they don't exercise their rules. How can David Benavidez be the mandatory for Canelo Alvarez belt for 3 years and Canelo refuses to fight him? And now Canelo get a mandatory from the IBF. We'll see if he refuses to fight him, because in this case he must fight this guy or he got to vacate the belt, because this fight has been ordered by the IBF. I've never heard of the guy William Scull. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. And I'm not sure a lot of guys on this channel have heard of William Scull. If you have heard of William Scull, leave your comments in the comment section and educate us on the super middleweight division, because the guys we know as super middleweight right now are the Diego Pacheco of the world, the David Morrell, the David Benavidez, the Caleb Plant, the Demetrius Andre, and some other guys in there that we know. So the last time Canelo fought a mandatory, I believe it was at 160, and that was against Avni Yildirim, and Canelo got a knockout over Yildirim, a fight nobody wanted to see, even though the guy somehow was Canelo's mandatory. The world really wanted to see Canelo versus Demetrius Andre. Canelo refused to fight Demetrius Andre for years. I mean, Canelo was one fight away from becoming undisputed. He would have been a two-time undisputed champion if he would have fought Demetrius Andre. There was only one belt left to go, and Canelo refused to fight Demetrius Andre, which is ridiculous. Canelo could have been undisputed at middleweight, but he said no. He'd rather move up in weight and collect the belts from other guys he felt like he could beat. But what do you guys think about the IBF ordering this fight? Canelo versus William Scull. Honestly, guys, I haven't watched any film on William Scull. I need to go back to the lab and check out William Scull, see who is this guy. You know, boxing is sometimes an unpredictable sport. You can think one guy's going to go in there and destroy the other guy. Then sometimes boxing can humble you and show you that styles make fights, or on any given night, with the right preparation, you can change your life with one fight. Can William Scull do that to Canelo Alvarez? Or will Canelo Alvarez knock this guy out like we all probably believe he will? Because we've never heard of this dude. So Canelo will get a knockout on his resume if he fights a William Scull. Because we've never heard of this guy. This guy hasn't fought anybody that we know of. So it should be easy night in the office for Canelo. And I think if that's his mandatory, he should go ahead and fight that guy. You know, I don't think it's a pay-per-view worthy fight. I think it'll be the first fight Canelo give us for free in a long time. So why not? Why not give us a fight for free? We're tired of buying your pay-per-views anyway. You're fighting a lot of mismatches. His last couple fights has been mismatches. His fight against Jaime Munguia, in my opinion, was a mismatch. His fight against Jermell Charlo was a mismatch. The Jermell Charlo was a mismatch because Jermell Charlo was coming off a hand injury. We didn't know how he was going to do, or we didn't know how he was going to perform. If Jermell Charlo never had a hand injury and he went into the Canelo Alvarez fight, he might have gave us a better fight. A lot of people tend to forget that Jermell Charlo was actually coming off a hand injury. You know, he sat on the sidelines for a little bit until his hand got better or whatever. And then his first fight back, he fights Canelo. It makes no sense. He was definitely coming for a check, and that's what he did. But even with a hand injury and being 2 weight class smaller than Canelo, on paper smaller, but in reality we know Jermell Charlo is bigger than Canelo. But on paper he was smaller than Canelo because Canelo's in a higher weight class. When a guy's in a higher weight class, everybody thinks he's bigger, which makes no sense. Just because a guy's in a higher weight class, that does not mean he's bigger than a guy in a smaller weight class. That makes no sense, bro. Boxing fans need to understand this. The guys just choose to cut a lot of weight and fight at those little weight classes. We got to remember Canelo and Jermell Charlo was at 154 at a time. You know, Canelo started his career at 140, guys. The guy is in a weight class where he doesn't really belong. You know, I mean, it is what it is. And like I said before, some people believe it's the clenbuterol that's keeping him up there, or whatever other drug he's taken in the past or is taking that's undetectable or whatever, because we're allowed to say something like that because he did pop 30 and was suspended for clenbuterol. But it is what it is. I'd rather see Canelo versus my guy, Terrence Bud Crawford, instead of William Scull. We'll see what happens, man. I want to see that fight now, honestly. I want to see Canelo versus Terrence Bud Crawford immediately. You know, Shakur Stevenson says, hell of a fighter Canelo is. Still think Bud beats him. Of course Bud beats him. It's not on Bud's level. Skill for skill, Bud is the better fighter all around. The only difference in a fight like that, it'll probably be down to size, and the only reason it's down to size because one guy has fought in multiple weight classes higher, not because He has an enormous size advantage because he is a really small super middleweight. There's no reason he should be up there. I think people forget when we watch Canelo versus Gennady Golovkin, right, guys? Canelo is a smaller man. Gennady Golovkin is a career 160-pound fighter, right? He's not a 168-pound fighter. He's always been a career 160-pound fighter. You know, these guys cut a lot of weight. I've heard Gennady Golovkin walk around at 200, though. Close to 200. That's what I've heard. So, he cuts 40 pounds to get down to 160. But he was a career 160-pound fighter, right? So how then people think Canelo is a natural 168-pound fighter? Or Canelo is in a weight class where he belongs? Canelo is in a weight class where he doesn't belong. If he's smaller than GGG, who's at 160, how then can he be a 168-pound fighter? Somebody please make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense, right? We act like we forgot these fights. GGG is a much bigger fighter than Canelo Alvarez, and GGG was a career 160-pound fighter. So I can't be bigger than you at 160, and then you go to 168, and then everybody think you're bigger than me now just because you chose to move up in weight. You chose to put on extra pounds and not cut a lot of weight. So now you're bigger than me because you went up to 168. I don't understand how boxing fans think. It's ridiculous how they think. You know. So let me give you all this logic. If Jermell Charlo, he says, forget 154, I'm going straight to 168. And he competes at 168 for a couple fights, and he gets in the ring with Canelo. Who's going to be the smaller man? Everybody's going to say Jermell, right? But when Jermell fought Canelo, because that was his first time at 168, everybody said he was the smaller man. But if he goes up to 168 and he gets a few fights in and he fights Canelo, who's going to be the smaller man? Canelo's going to be the smaller man. You see, that's how boxing think. That's the way the world works, I guess. A lot of people think like that. I mean, but if y'all want to think like that, so be it. When we clearly know Jermell Charlo is a bigger guy than Canelo Alvarez, but he hasn't fought in bigger weight classes. It is what it is. Even Earl Spence is a bigger fighter than Canelo Alvarez. Like, we even seen Ryan Garcia standing next to Canelo. Ryan Garcia looked like a bigger boy than Canelo Alvarez. Like, when Ryan Garcia is standing next to Canelo, you can't tell who's in what weight class. Like, Canelo is in a weight class where he shouldn't be. That's why it was ridiculous when he went to 175, and then he was talking about competing at cruiserweight and heavyweight. Like, just ridiculous stuff. That clenbuterol must be helping this guy think he could do whatever he wants to do, because, like, you going up there and you're taking these bigger guys' shots. It makes no sense at all. I mean, look at Jaime Munguia versus Canelo Alvarez. Who looked like the bigger man? And Jaime Munguia came from 154 too. A lot of people forget Jaime Munguia started his career, I believe, 154, because he was a champion at 154 when he knocked out Saddam Ali. But now he's competing at 168. Right? He's competing at once. Look, Canelo took this punch really well. Canelo be eating these bigger guys' punches like it makes no sense. And he eats these punches like it's nothing, bro. How? How can you eat these punches like it's nothing? Like, it raises red flags every time I watch Canelo versus GGG. When GGG hit Canelo with the cleanest hook I've ever seen, and Canelo just turned his... Was it a hook or a right hand? It might have been a clean right hand. And Canelo just turned his neck and shook his head like it was nothing. That's when I knew there was something wrong in the sport of boxing, and the sport of boxing is doing us a disservice of not getting down to the bottom of stuff, because there's no way Canelo can get hit flush on the chin by a natural 168-pound fighter, a knockout artist who's been knocking out everybody, and Canelo just eat it and doesn't even buckle. But then at 147, he gets his button rocked by Jose Miguel Cotto's brother. It just doesn't really add up. I mean, you guys can believe what you want to believe, but it just doesn't really add up. There's no way you move up in weight and your chin just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It's strange. It's the strangest thing in the world. I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, what do you guys think about Canelo versus William Scull? Will that fight really happen? Will Canelo actually fight his mandatory, or will he give up his belt? You know, I'm pretty sure he wants to keep all 4 belts at 168. Or if he can go up to 175 and try to be undisputed era. But if it was up to me, if I was in Canelo's corner, I would tell Canelo to come down and wait and try to be undisputed at 160. It's your boy No Credit, and I'm out.